Today I'm gonna explain how to make a track like our favorite elephant boy, the king of Tearout.
I wouldn't say king, but I appreciate the overstatement.
Marauda.
Drop it like Mastadon.
I listened to every single Marauda track for this project and watched every Marauda YouTube tutorial I could find, and now I'm well prepared to make this track. Okay, I already made it, but yes, I'm prepared. So let's start with the intro.
I'm like really bad at something. Yeah.
Before you start, make sure that you pick a more slow BPM. I just went with 138 because Marauda said...
What is your favorite BPM?
138.
The more older Marauda tracks from the Malignant or Decimate EP don't really have a build-up. That's just the intro and then a second part of the intro, and then at the end the kick or snare slides in, and then the drop happens pretty abrupt, which is actually pretty cool. And then in the newer tracks from Deathbit until now, the build-ups got a little bit longer, and that's also pretty cool. I just decided to make a combination like it's in Future Stomp. So I just started with the brass sample with a lot of reverb, and then just some hits and downers and stuff like that, and I made a pad for it, which is pretty cool, but also not really spectacular. It's just 3 detuned saw wave which play minor chord and have a little filter on them. And then I made this one, which is a little bit more interesting, which just has this automation of the pitch and the filter which opens up and closes again, so it just comes in between the brass hits. And the brass just play this simple melody. And then, which I noticed also in a little bit older tracks like RIP, that there is an alarm sound. And I think I found the exact same alarm sound which is in RIP. And if you may wonder how I found it, I just searched for free buzzer sound effect, and I found this video which has just the exact same or pretty similar sound. So just combined it with the brass. And then a really important thing for the newer Marauda build-ups are the claps. It's just took a higher clap.
I promise I'm not high.
And the lower one, which is an 808 clap. And then a good amount of reverb. Then also a classic Marauda thing is to make this rhythm in between the build-up. And I just did it with the snare like it's in Future Stomp. And then the snare just get faster and the claps just get faster and it builds up. And then at the end there's just this tape stop which I made with this free plugin. It's pretty good. It can't do that much, but it makes nice tape stops. Now the pre-drop voice samples. I just took this drop it like it hot sample.
Drop it like.
And then I tried to recreate the iconic Mastadon sample. So just throw it into Abelton
Mastadon.
and then try to recreate it as exact as possible.
Mastadon.
And that's the final result. And I think the result is pretty satisfactory. That means satisfied. I just have to interrupt because this guy said that Marauda used BitSpeak for this sample, and it actually sounds a little bit like that.
Hello, I am BitSpeak.
I can hear some similarities here. Maybe check out this example.
Welcome to FL Studio, my DAW of choice.
Okay, we need to stop this here. However, here's my interpretation on how to make this sound. All I did here, just went to a free text-to-speech thing and then just used this Australian English thing because Marauda is Australian. I thought it's nice, and then I just wrote Mastadon, but now it's important when you write it like it is.
Mastadon.
It's just read some random stuff I don't want, so I just have to replace the A with the O.
Mastadon.
And then it's a lot better. So just downloaded that.
Mastadon.
And then warped it and changed the pitch for different parts, so it's just
Mastadon.
Mastodon.
so it's the exact same. The most important thing actually for the sound is just the erosion with the sine wave,
Mastodon. Mastodon.
Mastadon.
which adds this
Mastodon.
interesting stuff, and then just overdrive,
Mastodon.
a
Mastodon.
lot of OTT, and then also the two reduxes with different rates, so just two different sounds that are added, just 50% and 30%,
Mastodon. Mastodon.
and then just some delay with fast time. Then I just looked which frequencies are pretty high up there and just copied it and even automated it,
Mastodon.
and then
Mastodon. Mastodon. Mastodon.
it's pretty similar, and everything together is just like this.
Drop it like Mastodon.
And now let's hop right into the drop. So for the drop, for the first part, I decided to do some Cascade VFP inspired stuff. Just start, drop, and then kick and snare kicks in, and it sounds like that. With the typical Marauda rhythm, which you can hear in a Cascade VFP. It's actually not that easy to make. So it just started with the vital, took this pretty high kind of square wave from the basic shapes, and then just automated with LFO1 the FM from oscillator 2, which is just this sine square stuff with some unison, but it's turned down, the stereo unison is turned down in the matrix. This creates this interesting stuff, and then just this little wavetable, which adds some weird sparkly thing on top, and then just white noise. Then what's really important is the comp filter, which also just automate with LFO1, and I have two of them, and then distortion with the pre-filter enabled, which is also which is also automated with LFO1, and some chorus stuff, which doesn't do that much, but it adds some messiness. And then I just resampled that and threw a lot of effects on it, stretched it a little bit, and added some basic stuff for mixing, and then frequency shifter, which adds this interesting frequency, a lot of overdrive, glue compressor with the makeup a little bit up, so it's a little bit more distorted, and then some saturator, and then I layered it with a lot of sounds. I layered it with this trash thing, which sounds like that. Then just some short delay frequency shifter, so it's actually the right pitch. Then this metallic higher hits. Then this sub, which I also made in Vital, just sine wave with a little bit of white noise, and then a little bit multiband compression and distortion, which just makes this fat stuff. Then more OTT, make it completely mono-utility, and then just some EQ stuff would make it sound like I want it to sound. Then again some glue compressor with soft clip and the makeup a little bit up, and together it sounds pretty good. Then I resampled all this again to create this rhythm I want and chop it up, and threw some more effects on it, which is delay, which is very short, to make it a little bit more tonal. That would it be full up, stand without and just mix it in a little bit. Then again some mixing, and then the EQ. Just boost a little bit the 100 Hz frequency and removed some shady frequencies I didn't like. Then just more EQ, saturation, some mixing stuff, not that interesting. And that's actually the main sound of the first part of the drop. Then what's really important for a Marauda track is the iconic fuck sample. Fuck! It already sounds like a Marauda. Fuck! Then the drums kick in. So I analyzed all the drums from all the Marauda tracks. In the Malignant EP, it was pretty classic, just kick and the snare. Something like that. I noticed in the Decimate EP, it's a little bit more metallic stuff going on with the snare, which sounds like that. Like around Death Pit, where it's just the kick, 4 on the floor, and then claps hit. I just took a kick. Then what I also noticed, especially in Future Stomp, that the claps sound a little bit sidechained. They just did that. So they kick in a little bit later, so you have the transient of the kick and then the tail of the snare. Like that with automation, and that would be without the automation. Just a nice little volume automation to sidechain it. Then just some really simple hi-hat stuff. And there's some really heavy drums when you play it together. So and then the basses, there's just the same main sound. Then I added this screechy noise, which I already showed on Instagram. So if you want to see everything a little bit earlier, follow me there. Hehe, marketing. So I just used 2 saw waves with a little bit of white noise and some automation like FM and some distortion here, which adds some nice stuff. Then a frequency shifter with the amount full up and then the rate with 116, which adds this crazy stuff. Then because I don't have disperser, I just used a lot of EQ3s. And that's actually the only thing you can do with EQ3s, but because it sucks. This adds some nice stuff. Then just OCD, little bit delay for some extra stuff. Then a lot of overdrive, EQ again, and then the grain delay, which just automates the pitch. So a little bit Future Stomp inspired, but also a typical Screech sound on top of the main bass, which Marauda does a lot, like Death Pit or a ton of other tracks. And just some reverb, also an imager to make it more wide. Then when you play everything together, you have something like that. The filler sound is like from the What the Fuck Marauda remix, and also I think in Death Pit, which has this interesting thing. I didn't manage to make it really similar, but kinda similar. So everything starts with the main sound. Just introduce it just like that. And then I just used some bass sample. Then again, short delay, I like to do that a lot, just to get a little bit tonal stuff in there. Actually 2 of them. Some overdrive, grain delay, which does some pitch automation. And then some erosion, which actually changes a lot. Again, a sine wave at 3.30 kilohertz. Then just some saturation to make it a little bit more fat. And then I just use this sample, just some high triangle stuff, and then this entering stuff, which is again just a random percussion sample, just boosted here a lot, then a little bit delay again, and just a lot of saturation. What's pretty important is this random percussion stuff again. Overdrive, some erosion, saturation, nothing crazy. And then on the master, a lot more overdrive. And then, so it's a little bit more like whoop. Just added this rack I made with the lows, which just automates from the lows to the highs. Everything together sounds pretty nice. And then it's just the second part, which is not really much going on, just some different automation with the grain delay and the pitch. Then another classic Marauda fill, which is just a pretty simple sound. It's just a sine wave. And I also mixed in some square wave and some stuff, compression, distortion. Then just 4 OTTs and more saturation at the end. So it just goes from a high D sharp to a B and then to a low D sharp. This part of the drop is a little bit more Portal drop inspired, just nice and heavy, and I like it. So another vital session, just basic saw wave with FM from 3, which is just this really low sine wave kind of thing, and this creates this nice sound. And then just again some weird wavetable with a lot of unison, but also stereo is turned down in the matrix. And then everything together, it's nice. And then some white noise. There's also some random amplitude automated with LFO2. Yeah, LFO2. And then some crazy comb filter and some other filter. Just add some nice stuff to it. And then actually no effects, but a lot of effects here. First some overdrive, because without overdrive it's not as thick and nice as I wanted. And then just a lot of OTT. Then just the frequency shift is really important. I think I said it a lot that something is really important, but it's actually really important. Because it adds this weird gargling low sound to it. Some basic mixing again. And then again this disperser shit, which is just EQ3s. Add some nice stuff to it. And then just a hard curve saturation to make it a little bit more louder. And then something what is really interesting, again something is really interesting like every other sound, just a normal bell sound with 3 overdrives, which creates this nice stuff. And then just some frequency shifter to make some other stuff and nice and dope. And then everything together is just this nice heavy drop. The last part, which is avoidable cause inspired, just this nice screechy sound. That's actually what sums up Marauda. Nice heavy rhythm, nice cool rhythm sections, and some screechy stuff, or screechy stuff on top of the rhythm stuff. They just took the same sub we already looked at before, and then we have this another quick vital session, which is nothing crazy, just basic bass, some FM back, so we have some movement and some pitch automation, some distortion here, nothing crazy. Then OTT Q8 frequency again to add this nice screechy Screech. Then here some white frequency shifted to make it a little bit more white and stereo. Some more distortion, which adds this stuff. Then some delay, short delay again, to make it tonal. Just the Danny Music's classic trick here again. Then also an imager and saturation. Then on top of that, because it's not screechy enough, more screechy stuff. Nice basic stuff. Then here FM from 2 to have really screechy shit going on. Then here I automated the send with LFO1, which just goes down in pitch, which sounds dope AF. Then here again some stuff which goes a little bit like wee-oo, so that the whole screechy siren stuff goes a little bit down in the end. Then just some filters, white noise, distortion, and another calm filter which adds a little bit. Then good amount of OTT, some EQ to get rid of all the low stuff because I don't need that, and so the mix is cleaner. Then a lot of saturation again, full up, and then together with all the sub and low screech, high screech, it's nice and heavy. And then we have the same bell sound, which is just stretched out, and with this overdrive, it's delicious. And then it just took the crazy laser sound from the first drop and again automated some stuff, the pitch, and then faded in with my fade in rack, so the reverb, so it starts like really wet reverb, almost not audible, and I just here completely turned it silent in this part because it sounds nicer. So, and then we can listen to the whole nice screech part. And then for the outro I was a little bit lazy, just put this brass stuff one more time, some nice downer, and just fades out. And now the whole masterpiece. Okay, this was the video. I hope you learned something. Maybe you could subscribe, like, and follow on here. As I know you don't have any hobbies, I highly suggest you to watch my video where I make dubstep out of Discord sound right now.
I can hear my dad waking up, so I should probably go.